Hello and welcome back to DMCA Chess Academy. This is Chess Coach Ritesh Mathew, and today I'm going to show you an extremely amazing chess trap in the King's Gambit declined, the Falkbeer variation. So the move order goes like this. White plays the king pawn e4. Black responds with his king pawn e5. Here white offers a wing pawn, the king f pawn, as a gambit, and white wants black to use his center pawn to capture the wing pawn. Now here you can pull a fast one on your opponent and play a counter gambit, which is Falkbeer counter gambit, and here you can shock your opponent by playing d5, pawn to d5. Now a better way for white to continue is e captures d. This will lead to equal position. But instead of e captures d, if white captures f takes e5 pawn, then it's all over. White can resign at this point. There are only three possible outcomes for white if f pawn captures e5, and all three outcomes lead to a disaster for white. A first outcome could be white will lose a rook and a couple of pawns. That's the bad outcome. The worst outcome will be white will lose queen and a couple of pawns. And the worst outcome is white will get checkmated. So these are the only three possibilities and outcomes for white if f takes e5. All right. And believe me, I was so shocked to find out that every variation is so airtight and there are hardly any deviations. So no matter what white does, his choices are so narrow, the range is so narrow that every possible variation could lead to only one of the three outcomes that I mentioned earlier. So let's look at what happens after f captures e4. So here black can continue with queen h4 and give a check to the white king. Here there are only two possibilities whereby white can come out of check. Either he can play the pawn to g3, which is a better option. In that case, white will lose rook and a couple of pawns. But if white plays king to e2, then it may either lead to queen, loss of a queen and a few pawns, or white will get checkmated. So let's look at the better option first. White blocks the check with g3. Here black can continue, queen takes e4 check, and now if white blocks the check in any way, the rook is gone. So let's look at an example. If knight blocks, then queen captures the rook and the rook is gone. If bishop blocks, then it's the same outcome, queen captures the rook. If the queen blocks, then it's the same outcome, queen captures the rook. And the fourth option, which is king f2, will lead to checkmate. Let's check that line as well. If king f2, then bishop to c5 check, and here white has only one option to avoid the check, which is block the check. And here bishop can capture, and from here there are again two outcomes for white. Queen captures the bishop and sacrifices herself, or bishop can block the check. Let's look at the better option. If queen captures the bishop, then queen captures the queen, gives a check, and will grab that other pawn. So this will lead to loss of queen and a couple of pawns. However, from here, if bishop blocks the check, then queen captures, and then king can only go to g2, and then queen f2 is checkmate. So that's what this line leads to if king goes to f2. All right. So now you saw, if pawn blocks the check, which is the better option, then white could lose the rook or lose the queen if he's not careful, or get checkmated. But what if from here white continues king to e2? Well, this will again lead to queen captures the pawn, and here white can only go to f2. King can only go to f2. There is no other option. Here again bishop can give a check. Here the better option is pawn blocks the check, and after that the queen is going to be lost. But if king goes to g3, let's check that line first. If king goes to g3, then that will lead to queen g6 check, and from here white has four options: king f3, king f4, which is a better option, or queen blocks the check on g4, or king goes to h4. So out of four, only one option is better. So let's check all four lines. If queen blocks, then queen captures queen is checkmate. If king h4, then bishop e7 is checkmate. Third option, if king goes to f3, then again queen g4 is checkmate. And the last option, which is slightly better, but ultimately that is also going to lead to checkmate, which is queen check, and then king can only go to g3, and here bishop goes to f2 is checkmate. So let's go back and evaluate the second line, which is d4, pawn to d4, which is again the better option. Here again bishop captures, and then if queen captures the bishop, which is the better option, then we win the queen again. However, here if after pawn blocks, and then after that if the king goes to g3, then queen g6 check. Here white has five options, and only one out of five is better, which is queen h4, and better in the sense that the checkmate will be delayed by a few moves, but ultimately it will still lead to a checkmate. And all other four options, which is king f3, king f4, queen blocks on g4, and bishop blocks the check on g5, all will lead to much sooner checkmate. So let's check all the lines. So let's start with bishop g5. If bishop g5, then queen captures. From here white has two options again. If queen g4, then queen captures queen is checkmate. And then if king f3, then queen g4 again is checkmate. So that's first option out of five. Let's check the second option, which is king goes to f3. If king f3, then queen g4 is checkmate. Over here, let's check the third option, which is king goes to f4, in which case queen check, and then king can only go to g3, and here bishop f2 again is checkmate. Let's check the fourth option, which is queen blocks the check, in which case it's instant checkmate. And let's check the last option, which is slightly better. King goes to h4. Here bishop f2 check, and then the only way white can block the check is by pawn g3 blocks the check. Here queen can go to e4 and give a check, and from here white again has only four options, and all four are going to lead to checkmate sooner or later. So let's check all the four options. If king g5, then h6 pawn check, and here king can only go to h5, after which g6 is checkmate. From here let's check option number 2, which is queen blocks g4, then queen captures queen is instant checkmate again. Let's check the third option, which is bishop blocks the check. In this case queen can capture the bishop, and believe it or not, the pawn on g3 cannot capture because it is pinned, absolutely pinned to the king. So from here white has only two choices. If queen blocks, then queen captures queen is checkmate, and then here if king goes to h5, then again g6 is checkmate. And let's check the last option here. If king h5, then check, g6 check, and then king can only go to g5, and here h6 is checkmate. So as you saw, if pawn blocks on g3, then white loses the rook and a couple of pawns, and then if the king comes to e2, then from there it's either a loss of queen or either white will get checkmated. So no matter how you slice this puzzle, white is lost completely. So I hope you like this little trap, the Falkbeer counter gambit and the king's gambit declined, and use it on your opponent if they ever play the king's gambit from white side. Okay, so do like and subscribe to my channel Chess Melody for more chess and music related videos. Thank you and have a great day.